A few months ago, we made a video praising the work of biologist Alan Savory, who has figured out a way to make the dreaded cow our greatest ally in the fight against carbon emissions by using them to double, even triple grass growth in areas that were previously barren wastelands. We're talking the environmental equivalent of Lithgow, that are now, thanks to cows, green once again. Much like a teenage anime nerd's pubic hairs when Oz Comic Con comes by. Very good news, at least I thought to share, but much like when you go out with your friends and you want to share meals, vegans had to ruin it, didn't they? I received a bunch of messages from people who sent me links that reject Alan Savory's entire life work, and much like cats killing a bird and then putting it on their owner's bed, they were sitting there beaming at me.
You proud? You proud of Mr. Whiskers?
No, in fact, I'm disgusted. Most of you sent me links to a couple of journals that claim that Alan Savory is crazy for even suggesting you can use large herds of herbivores to maintain and regenerate grasslands, even though that's exactly what's been happening in nature for 300 million years. But apparently, every herd animal on every continent since before the dinosaurs are wrong, because you found 2 peer-reviewed articles that, let's be honest, you didn't read. If they're over 10 pages of scientific jargon and your display picture is of you in try-hard clothes looking wistfully off into the distance and your last post was, I just fucking downed the biggest pizza. Domino's is totally my biznatch. Hashtag winning at life. Hashtag it's 2015 and I'm still making hashtag jokes. Yeah, this guy gets it. Then please stop pretending you have the attention span to read a peer-reviewed journal. You read the Slate article because it was the first thing that popped up in Google and the name reminded you of Vice. And as someone whose entire job is to research matters like this properly, I did exactly the same thing as you guys and found that there really is only 2 peer-reviewed journals that claim Alan Savory's theory doesn't work, and guess what? They've both been peer-reviewed, and those peer reviews found that those journals that claim they've trialed holistic grazing and proven it doesn't work didn't actually trial holistic grazing at all. They just thought they did. That's a bit of a problem. That's like me saying, oh, well, human cloning's turned out to be a bit of a farce, you know? I mean, you put stem cells in the middle of a chocolate cake. No one's come out of the oven to help me with the dishes yet. Shh. When he comes back, I'm gonna lick his feet. Furthermore, Alan Savory is not a lone crackpot voice on this subject. There are many scientists, as well as your favourite, peer-reviewed journals that found that Alan Savory's method did indeed improve grass density, soil moisture, soil bulk density, standing crop biomass, and soil organic matter. And why is all of this important? Because that increases the soil's capacity to capture carbon emissions and, yes, even methane. According to one of the most knowledgeable people on Earth when it comes to carbon sequestration and former CSIRO scientist / NGO organiser Christine Jones, a soil carbon improvement of just 0.5% on the top 12 inches of Australia's agricultural land would effectively store our emissions over the long term. And before I get the usual choir of, yeah, because I'm native to Australia, so I can't work here, because we're in the southern hemisphere, it's upside down, man. It has. And it is. There are many Australian farmers successfully using this technique right now, and I don't have time to show you them all, so I'm just gonna chuck a U and give you the links to those awesome pick flicks in the description, which is kapow. Alright, cool. Let's get back to the tasty vid jams. Just gonna share with you one of the messages I received from an environmental scientist who's seen holistic grazing work in the midst of the Kimberley. To remind everyone quickly of what the Kimberley is. No, it's not the girl that was most likely to have bought a roadkill sandwich to school for lunch in year 6. How bitch, you mean it's my frying pan. It is harsh, unforgiving desert at the top of Western Australia. And it was there, in that environment, that this environmentalist saw black soil full of carbon where 15 years before it was hard-baked, concrete-like soil, meaning it was not absorbing anywhere near the amount of carbon dioxide it is today, thanks to Savory's method, which only asks that we change cattle farmers' practices just slightly, which apparently, according to vegans, is a fool's errand. They think, what a surprise, that a far more practical solution to reducing our agricultural emissions would be, okay, so like, dig this for an alternative view. We get all 7 billion people who have been eating meat since pretty much the dawn of man to stop eating meat in a time frame that's pretty much tomorrow, because you've got to ask yourself, dude, how practical is Alan Savory's method really? You just make everyone say it, don't you? And I really didn't want to because you're clearly ethically right, but still, Shut the fuck up, vegans. I mean, that's really nice, but you're pretty much just the falafel version of those two beetroot twins that were on A Current Affair in 2003 that said, "We're both A+ students in year 5 and we're not going back to school until George Bush stops the war." In contrast to those that went around boasting, "The world would be a good place if everyone in it was exactly like me, wearing beanies in the summer." Thank you to everyone who wrote into their MPs, because that, what a surprise, turned out to be more productive. We've now got on record federal Labor support for an independent scientific evaluation into Savoury's method. Labor Tasmania is researching it as we speak. MPs from across the aisle are talking to their constituents that have been using holistic grazing for years, and we even got one delightful MP who told his brother about it because he owns a 5,000-acre farm. And if nothing else comes from this exercise in democracy, while we were all busy informing the political class of our country about what could possibly turn out to be an earth-saving strategy, you were keeping your hands clean of it all because you read Slate and it might not work, and so you thought that a far better approach of saving the planet would be to brag about how you don't eat bacon and eggs. And again, feel free to brag about that because that is honestly great, but holistic grazing is a little more important than your dietary decisions. I have nothing financial to gain from supporting Alan Savoury, who you can read in further detail in the book Cows Save the Planet by Judith D. Schwartz, whose link to buy this book is in the description below. Tell a friendly Jordy sent you to get a discount.
Worth it, printed on recycled paper.
I'm actually not making a dime off this. We called the publisher ourselves to get that discount specifically for you because this environmental journalist, who was initially a skeptic just like you, answers with painstaking research literally every single objection I've ever received on this subject. And seeing as I can't address them all as I'm on YouTube and Pokemon song parodies is the kind of shit people are interested in on this medium, this is not the place to discuss this. You have no right to object to holistic grazing any further until you've read this book. Think you do have a right to disagree regardless? We don't have a Bill of Rights. Welcome to Australia, dickhead!
Please press the subscribe button now.
Come on.